Caring for the sick is a corporal work of mercy. But when the sick person involved is a relative, it places a lot of stress on the caregiver that many cannot recover from. When we come back from this short break, we'll be speaking with a guest who has first-hand experience on this issue. In case you don't already know, my name is Chima, and welcome to another episode of Catholic Faith Forum. Welcome back to the show. My name is Chima, and today we're going to be talking about caring for the sick. But we'll be looking at it from the angle of someone who was a caregiver and spent day-to-day with a sick person. Today I have with me in the studio Evelyn Chikwendu, and she's going to be sharing her experience with us. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Chima.
Really happy to have you here.
I'm very happy to be here as well.
All right. So, let's go straight into it. Can you tell us your experience? Share with us.
Well, caring for the sick has its positive side, has its negative side. But in all, the positivity overwhelms the negativity, which is basically what everybody wants. You want to hear good news about the person who has been sick. That's it. So I'll take it from the positive angle. When you're caring for the sick, the bottom line is for the person to be healed. And the first inclination you're having is, oh my, I pray this person gets well. That's just it. And when you're taking care of that person, there are a lot of emotional trauma, a lot of financial aspects in it, and so many other things. But it's not all about the money. The finance is there, yes. But of course, looking at it from the angle of Nigeria, where we are, and the kind of situation that you are in, first and foremost, when you get to the hospital, if you don't have money,
it's a problem already.
The person might die, because nobody's going to touch the sick person. And then you have the money, you don't have a person who is taking care of you. That's another big deal. And from the angle of what I have experienced in life, it's a lot. One, let me start with my mom. When my mom was very sick, I couldn't go and meet her because she was out of Lagos. And of course, when you call her, because I was writing an exam then, I was doing MBA, she kept on insisting that she was fine. When I finished the exam, she told me, oh, I can come over, that she's fine. So I went in. Lo and behold, that very day I got in, my mom became critically ill. And she was not talking. She couldn't recognize anybody. And it was a lot of trauma for everybody in my home. And at times, even when you have money, money is not everything. By the time we went through that, by the time my mom died, 4 days after I went to see her, I had on me 500,000 naira. And she was gone. Of course, we were very angry. So who are we angry with? Is it God?
Is it God? Is it the hospital?
So I just told God to give me a break. In fact, the hospital too told us that we have change. We should please come, because my brothers were threatening fire and that they were going to bring the hospital down. So those are the part of the positive and the negative side. So the negative side is when you lose the person, you find out that all that effort
for naught
was nothing. And it has its own psychological trauma on its own, because you keep on going down memory lane to check, was there something I could have done better? Or maybe I went home on a day I shouldn't have gone home to go and rest and what have you. But on the positive side, when the person makes it, you are very happy.
Very happy.
You're overwhelmed, you're glad, you don't have any problem with God, you're on the same wavelength with God. You're cheerful, people see you, they're very happy with you. But then, it still has its own, issues as well.
It always comes with issues, yes.
One, you're running around to ensure that the person is
still
very
okay,
fine.
making sure that it doesn't repeat itself.
I had an experience last year. Someone was very ill, kept on, when I got to the hospital, this person is not going to make it at the way I'm seeing how. Of course, when I went extra effort, okay, what exactly is the problem? And they said, oh, the problem is that when the doctors write medication, there's nobody to get the medication. So they don't give the medication as at when they need it. And of course, for an ailment that they don't know what is actually wrong with the person, they are still doing a guesswork, they need rapid response from the family. So if the family members are not there, it gives a problem.
Oh, wow. So I know that you went through a lot of emotions in your time when you were, dealing with such an issue. So tell us about the times that you felt like giving up, if there was any, or times that you really felt angry with everything and even with God.
Well, there are a lot, but I'll just take one or two from the experiences I've had. There was somebody I had in Louth who was critically ill, as at that time they were unable to diagnose what was actually wrong with the patient. And the patient was there with her sister. So it was giving me some concern because, one, she wasn't getting better, and two, they were not on speaking terms. So it was giving me a lot of issues. That fateful day, I got into the hospital, and then the security man at the entrance where she was told me, auntie, that auntie fell down for bathroom. And then my brain started whining. I'm like, we're talking about somebody who is critically ill.
And
how could she had
go to the
gone
bathroom,
to the bathroom alone, that they had to go and pick her up? So I came in. Of course, immediately I got in, she started crying. And I'm like, so what happened? Oh, she was talking to her sister. Her sister didn't answer her. And then she decided to go to the bathroom on her own. Of course, she got tired. She slumped. Nobody knew. She was there for a while. And then finally, when the nurses were doing their rounds, they now realized that, oh, where is this patient? And then they now had to go in, found her in the bathroom. I just told the sister, I don't have two patients I'm looking after. Pack your things. Go home. She said, oh, yes, pack your things, go home. Leave your sister under my custody. When she's fine, I'll bring her back. And then she started wailing. I'm telling her, I said, I'm standing here telling you now, because if I close my eyes and open it and you're still here, you will not like what I'm going to do to you. So she left. And then I had to get people. So we now formulated strategy on how to ensure that she had somebody
people
there
all the time.
Yes, so I had got somebody that does night. I do from morning, so from morning till night, I lived around 8, 9 p.m. in the night and then went home and all that. So those are just it. So that's a very terrible one for me. And then I had another experience in FMC where the patient wasn't getting well. And then they told me, madam, you have to take
your patient home.
Wow. And I looked, I said, a child that is running temperature, 40 degrees, and you want me to take, to where? And they said they ran all the tests. They don't know what else to do. So I got angry with God. I just told God, give me space. When we finish our fight, we'll come back. And then, so when I got home, I just realized that I don't have any other person. I have to come back to him.
Thank God he's a merciful God. So, yeah, definitely accepted.
So we reconciled.
Yeah. So let's hold that thought for a while now, because we want to go on a short break. And when we come back from this short break, we'll keep on listening to Miss Evelyn's experiences on caring for the sick. Stay with us. Welcome back to the show. We've been listening to Evelyn Chikwendu telling us about her experiences for caring of the sick. She has cared for a lot of people who have been in different conditions, and it's been quite an eye-opener speaking with her. So let us look at your personal life and your faith now. How much did it affect your life and your routine? I know you mentioned having to stay with somebody throughout the whole day when a lot of people would have been working and, getting things done. So how much did it affect your personal life in all of these times?
Well, it did a lot. Well, the good thing about it, during the one that happened last year, was during my break when I had time. Of course, I didn't rest, so I had to give it out to taking care of someone else. In terms of family, it's destabilized a lot. In as much as my children are grown, they were, one, upset. Two, you are treating someone they don't know from Adam. Three, the person in question is not even related to you, and you are going from morning till night, so you don't even have time for them. And of course, where by the time I get home, I'm usually very tired. I won't be able to do anything because, you know, in the hospital, they can tell you to go and get a particular medication. You will go round the whole place.
You will not see it.
You will just be walking. I'm very sure that if I'm the type that like exercises, then I would have been looking very hotter than I am now. Honestly, because it was a lot of work then for me and psychologically and all that. So it was telling both family and generally was a lot of work.
How about bad habits? Did you slip into bad habits? Because I've heard stories of people falling into some kind of depression as a result of this, and then before you knew it, they picked up 1 or 2 vices which they never had. So did you slip into any?
No, not really.
Okay.
I'm not that. I have a very strong personality. And I trust God in everything I'm doing, in as much as I fight with him. When things don't go my way, I just tell him, Jesus.
I like the fact that you have that kind of relationship.
We'll come back and reconcile.
Yes, it's actually very,
it's a normal thing.
It's a very impressive thing to have, you know. But please, let's not continue fighting with God too often. All right. So, in all of this, what is the biggest lesson that you learned?
The biggest lesson I learned throughout that is God knows everything. Our life is very short. For people that think they are up there and people are down here, life is so short that when you're taking care of people who are sick, it will take you down to remember that there's somebody that created the universe. And you should be careful about the way you live your life because you can lose it at any point. And people die every minute, every second. As all the time I was in the hospital, when I was in Lutz, people were dying frequently, and no respect. They just cover the person and wheel the person out. And that's the end. It's just the family you will see crying, that's all. The doctors and nurses, it's normal for them. These days, yeah. And then I'm like, where did human sympathy go to? Wow. So that's it. It make you humble.
Yeah, it will definitely humble.
Bring you down to earth and make you to know that
you are really
my
nothing
dear,
in the grand
especially for those of us that like to say, oh, do you know who I am? You're nobody.
You will die
We're
like
nothing
everybody
but sand.
else. Yes.
Pencil in the hand of the Creator.
Yeah, so what did you learn about you as a person, your personal life? How did it strengthen you?
It made me realize that I have it in me to take care of people. I didn't know I'll have the patient all the time to take care of people I don't really know and who are not related to me. And it also made me to become humble. You know, make you realize that you need to take things easy. That's basically it.
And
made me a better person.
Yes, it surely makes you a better person. But some people, like I said, fall into bad habits, and we hope that this discussion is going to, you know, snap you out of it once in a while. All right, so final question. I like the fact that you mentioned that you and God have this relationship that, you know, you fight with him, you go back, you reconcile, and you make sure that at least you are not, you know, offending him in any way that is that bad. So what did you learn about your relationship with God as a result of all of these episodes?
God is extremely patient with me. I don't know about other people, but for me, he will wait. When I tell him, give me space, when you finish, come back. And when I come back, first thing, I won't be able to look at him. I'm like, do I even have it in me to meet him? And then I'll run up, I'll just call him, go to the confessionary, you know, reconcile from there, and then start back my prayers and all that. God is very loving, and he's faithful, always faithful. Even in our unfaithfulness, he's faithful.
And
he will still wait and give you that grace.
Yes.
When you finish, you come back. Okay, prodigal daughter, you're back. Welcome. That has always been my relationship with him.
And it gives you the strength to keep on.
He's more than he gives abundant grace. Gives you abundance. Anything you want, God will give it. Unless if you do not know how to tap into it.
Yes, yes. And really happy that you were able to find out the positives from all of these episodes, because it can be really telling.
Oh, it can be.
The reason why we didn't have a medical practitioner on set today is because, like you said, when the doctors see the dead people, they're like, it's normal. So it could be that they become apathetic to it, and it's good that we have these experiences to pull from that people can relate. Thank you so much, Mrs.
Thank
Evelyn
you, Chima.
Chikwendu. I know I had to mention
Yeah,
that.
you need to. It's important.
It's a very, very big
Yes,
name.
I'm
and
Ngozi Chukwuka.
yes, so thank you so
you.
much for coming to share your experiences with us.
Thank you for
It
having
was-
me.
Yeah, it was
It
an
was great,
eye-opener.
right?
And thank you if you are in such a position where you have to care for somebody 24/7 or maybe 23/7, no matter the amount of time you spend caring for somebody. May God continue to give you the strength, the grace to keep it up, and to find the strength for your own personal life too. But let's hold on for a while right now while we move over to the Know Your Faith team for today's episode of Know Your Faith. Stay with us.
Hello and welcome to Know Your Faith series. I am Collins, and today I'll be giving you tips on how to handle addiction. Now, the definition of addiction is, tricky, but how to handle it is even trickier. Because it's not easy for one to just say, this is one thing that's going to work for everyone. Because there are different addictions. People can be addicted to anything. Your phones, substance, sexual addiction. But for this show, we've decided to split it into two, sexual and substance addiction. And on today's episode, we'll be talking about sexual addiction. Now, by definition, sexual addiction is also known as hypersexuality and compulsive sexual behavior disorder. It's a condition that involves the sufferer becoming excessively preoccupied with thoughts or behaviors that give a desired sexual effect. Now, I stumbled upon a very worrying, but it's actually true, statistics that in the US alone, over 30 million people suffer from a form of sexual addiction. And when you think about it, if you put it into perspective, it's a lot. And when you try to do that, globally, you come up with a very, very crazy number. And in truth, a lot of people do this. It's personal, so people hardly come out to say they're suffering from this form of sexual addiction or the other, because it's somewhat personal. But the truth is, people are out there and they are suffering from it. So in today's episode, I'll be giving you tips on how to handle these addictions. It can vary from sex, sexual intercourse, pornography, masturbation, and all of that, all in one. There's so many to go on. But on today's episodes, I'll be sharing with you tips on how to handle this addiction. So the first is that you shouldn't always trust your thoughts. I think that because most of these addictions, they always come first from you thinking about it. So it will also mean that you should try as much as possible to always try to control your thoughts. I think we have a very funny way of lying to ourselves as humans, just the truth. But when you try as much as possible and you know that your thoughts are not always pure, and so you have to try to control it yourself. Number two, you have to admit that there's a problem. This goes to all addiction now. If you cannot admit that there's a problem, if you cannot admit that you need help, if you can't admit that, okay, this has gotten to the point where it's not normal again, right? Then there's nothing you can't do anything about it. You'll be oblivious to the fact that you're actually an addict. Number three, you should try as much as possible to tell a trusted person. Now, this can be hard, especially for, addictions in general, whether it's substance or sexual, having to find someone who you can trust to tell that this is this. But there was something I stumbled upon on Twitter, and it was someone who opened a Twitter account that posted I've gone 3 days without pornography or something like that. And a number of retweets under that and the comments, oh, please, and I think it was an anonymous account, but it just goes to show how much sharing can do. Because you had a lot of people under the comments, how are you doing it? What, can you share us tips, blah, 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 stuff like that. So it really helps when you can try to find someone you can tell. Number four, go to meetings and get the support. Now, support groups are something I actually encourage a lot. Because you're going to be with people who have experienced something similar, so to an extent they understand what you're going through, and you get to get first-hand experience on how to deal with these things. Number five is to avoid distractions. And by distractions, I mean, things that would lead you to actually committing these actions or thinking or having these thoughts, okay? And in another sense, having distractions. I mean, trying to put yourself in a room of people where you know you can't think of this kind of thoughts. Get yourself something to do. Try as much as possible to make sure you are not less busy. As the popular saying goes, an idle man is the devil's workshop, right? So try as much as possible to keep yourself distracted. Number 6, cultivate new habits. I think this helps a lot. And the new habits, I mean healthy habits. Try to exercise. Try to go for a walk at the park, a jog or something. Cultivate new habits that would actually help you, and this would actually go a long way. And finally, pray and frequently attend the sacraments. I think the sacraments, we've talked a lot about sacrament of confession and penance in previous episodes. I've given my personal experience about how soothing it is. After you go for confession, there's this need. On a personal note, there's this need for you to just want to remain in that way. Although we fall short, but there's this need to always just stay how you go for confession and you come and you feel at peace. So it's very, very important that we frequently try and always, go for confessions and sacraments in general. So that is for today, guys. I want us to remember that it's not going to be easy, right? But if you take it step by step, poco a poco, little by little, and you'll get there. All right, so please feel free to like, share, subscribe to our channel at Dominican Media Presents. And until I come your way next time, be bold and be Catholic.
And that was Know Your Faith for today. Thank you so much for staying tuned, and I hope you picked one or two things from today's episode of Know Your Faith. The saint of the week is Saint Richard of Witch. Saint Richard of Witch, also known as Richard of Chichester, was born in a town called Droitwich in England. He was an astute young man, and he was orphaned at a very young age together with his brother Robert. He recovered his family's mismanaged funds because of his astuteness, but then decided that he didn't want that life for himself. Instead, he chose to hand over his inheritance over to Robert and went about pursuing scholarly endeavors. He went over to Oxford, Paris, and Bologna, where he studied, and he received a doctorate in canon law from Bologna. Bologna is a town in Italy. In search of knowledge, Richard went and traveled far and wide and eventually became a priest of God. Richard refused to stay in Oxford, but eventually he was given a position in Bologna where he practiced canon law. After 7 years, he went back to Oxford and was appointed the chancellor of the university there in the year 1235, where he lived out the rest of his years in scholarly and pastoral pursuits. He eventually died and was canonized in the year 1262 and is celebrated on April 3rd in the Catholic Church. Saint Richard is one of the patron saints of scholars. So if you're a student, you can pray to Saint Richard to help you with your studies. Thank you so much for staying with us. Thank you, Miss Evelyn. We're very grateful to have you.
Thank you,
had you.
Chima.
And we hope that you will come again when we call you.
Yes, of course.
And thank you for listening to us. And if you missed any part of this show and you enjoyed it and you want to catch up with it, make sure you check it out on our YouTube channel, Dominican Media Presents, where these episodes and other episodes of CFF will be available for your enjoyment. If you want to continue sponsoring us or you want to support us in any way to keep creating content that you will love and will edify your soul, call the number showing on your screen right now or visit our website, dominicanmediang.com, where you can get information on how to partner with us. We really love to hear from you. Until we come your way with another beautiful episode of Catholic Faith Forum, keep being saints in jeans and shirts.